Okay, so today we are going to be starting cellular respiration. So this is going to be the final part of our bioenergetics lesson. So we're going to be talking about animals and plants and how they take glucose and turn it into energy. So we've already talked about this half with the chloroplast. It's going to take the carbon dioxide in the water. It's going to take it in with solar energy. It's going to create glucose and O2. So now we are going to be talking about the bottom half of this graph, talking about the mitochondria, how it takes glucose and oxygen. It's going to use that to create chemical energy and spit out carbon dioxide and water as byproducts. So we talked about this in photosynthesis. So with your partner, we're now going to discuss what is the main conversion in cellular respiration. What are we turning into what? Talk with your partner.
I said, glucose to ATP.
We are converting glucose to ATP. We are making a whole lot of cellular energy. We're going to be making a whole lot of, because we can't use the glucose in our cells, we have to convert it into a form that we can use. So in this case, that is going to be our ATP. Good. So, just like photosynthesis, we do have an equation. And in this case, we are going to be taking oxygen plus glucose to create carbon dioxide, water, and energy. This makes sense if you look at your body. You are going to breathe in oxygen. You are going to need to eat food in some way, shape, or form, whether it's breakfast, lunch, dinner, something along those lines. And you are going to breathe out carbon dioxide. You are going to have to go to the bathroom. And you are going to get energy out of the things you eat. So this one should make a little more sense of photosynthesis because you are constantly doing it. You're doing it right now. If you had dinner, if you had breakfast this morning, you are taking in oxygen, combining it with the with the sugars, the glucose, and you are creating carbon dioxide, water, and energy. I also think this one's going to be a lot less long-winded than the other one. This one I'm not going to go through a lot of the steps because there are so many chemicals involved that it's kind of insane. So I'm not going to be going through a lot of the chemicals with this. We're just going to kind of go over the different steps that are involved and kind of how much energy they are going to produce. Anybody need more time? Hearing none. Okay, so overview of cellular respiration. It's going to happen in the mitochondria. So the mitochondria, we said in the last unit. Anybody remember what the title of the mitochondria is? You just shout it out.
Powerhouse of the cell.
The powerhouse of the cell. Good. So the mitochondria is going to be the main source of energy for the cell. And in this case, we are going to have 3 stages. We had 2 in photosynthesis. We're going to have 3 here. And we are going to be going over all 3 of them. The first one is glycolysis, which we will break that down, what that is here next. We have the Krebs cycle, or the citric acid cycle, and the electron transport chain. The electron transport chain are arguably the coolest part of the whole thing, but we'll get there. And once you are finishing, if you flip over to the next page, you will see, just like with photosynthesis, I have a fancy little table that we're going to organize all of our information. Now, you will be able to write down all of the details, all of the steps after the table, but the table is going to help to kind of organize what goes in, what comes out, and in this case, the new category, how much ATP is produced, because that's what we're focusing on in cellular respiration. We're not making something else out of glucose. We are trying to make cellular energy out of glucose. So, the first step is called glycolysis. So if we break this down, we saw something with a kind of similar name a couple units ago. Anyone want to remember? Anyone remember?
Hydrolysis.
Hydrolysis. What was hydrolysis?
Putting water to like split up something.
Adding water to break a bond.
Break up
Yes.
a bond, yeah.
So lyse, we said, was to break. We haven't really talked about this prefix glyco, but glyco is going to be a sugar. So in this case, the process of glycolysis is going to break a sugar down into its smaller parts. So we're going to do this in the cytoplasm. Now, we just said that the cellular respiration happens in the mitochondria. So it's kind of weird that this glycolysis isn't actually happening in the mitochondria. It's happening in the cytoplasm. And this is actually going to allow it to do a couple different things. Number one, bacteria can do this. Bacteria are able to perform glycolysis because it doesn't require an organelle to do it. Instead, it's just going to happen in the cytoplasm. But what we're going to do is we're going to take our glucose, our fancy 6-carbon sugar. We are going to infuse it with 2 molecules of ATP. When we do that, we make a molecule that is fructose 1,6-biphosphate. You don't need to know that name. But we're going to make a sugar that is highly unstable. And what it's going to do is it is going to crack in half. And when it does this, it's going to be a whole lot easier to get energy out of. We're going to crack this molecule in half and create 2 molecules, after a little bit of processing, 2 molecules of pyruvate. So this is going to be a little weird molecule. It's going to be a 3-carbon molecule. And we are going to strip the energy from it. So we are going to get 4 ATP and 4 NADH. So it looks kind of similar to a molecule you just learned about. What's this look like? NADPH that we saw in photosynthesis.
Oh,
Yeah, this one's, the way I remember this one, NADPH has the P, so it's used in photosynthesis. This one doesn't have a P in it, so it's used in cellular respiration. But either way, these are going to act exactly the same as our NADPH in photosynthesis. It's going to be an electron carrier. And especially in this process, you're going to want to remember that this is a thing, because we will come back to it. We're going to stockpile a whole lot of this NADH. So, if we look at our overall reaction, we have to add 2 energy in to make energy. But we are going to make 4 of it. So we are going to 4 minus 2. 2 net ATP is how much we're going to get out of this. So not a lot, but it's a start. Yes. If we do the math. 4 minus 2 is 2. Now, discuss with your partner, why do you think we need to add in the 2 ATP to start? Anybody think they know why we have to add in this energy?
Do you need the initial energy to like get the process going?
What was that called? Anybody remember what the name of that was? Started with an A.
DP.
No.
Okay.
Autotroph.
No. Think enzymes.
Oh.
They reduce the what?
Activation energy.
The activation energy. ATP is an energy molecule, so it's going to add in the activation energy needed to get this whole thing kicked off. So the ATP is going to add the energy to start this reaction. So it's going to start it, and then we are going to get more than what we initially put in. So we are going to take 2, and we are going to get 4 out of it. We're going to net gain 2 ATP. Nope, I have drawings, that's why I can't. There we go. Now, take this time with your partner. Go over what the input for glycolysis is, what the output is, and what the net gain of ATP is. Mila, pick a color.
Yellow.
Yellow. Let's do the dark yellow just so that I can actually write it. So, where does glycolysis occur? In the cytoplasm.
Wait, that's the input.
I don't have it on here. It's fine. I'm going to just put it up here. All right. Matt, pick a color.
Blue.
Blue.
I mean red. Change it red.
Okay. What is the input for glycolysis?
Glucose.
Glucose. Thank you.
I got you, buddy.
Anything else that we might want to add in here?
ATP.
ATP. Good.
I said it first.
What is the output?
Prove it.
So we've got pyruvate. We have ATP. We have NADH. Cade, what is our net ATP? 2. Okay. Any questions about glycolysis? Like I said, if you don't have some of these written down, please take the time to do so. Yeah, anyone need more time? All right. And now we move on. So the next one is going to be the Krebs cycle. So the Krebs cycle is going to finally start off our cellular respiration. It's going to happen in the mitochondrial matrix, which, again, kind of like the stroma, is the fluid inside of the mitochondria. In this case, we are going to take our pyruvate. We're going to shuttle it into the mitochondria. We are going to combine it with a molecule called acetyl-CoA to, after a couple conversions, create citric acid. Anyone ever heard of citric acid before?
Yeah.
What is it, Peyton? Sour. Where? What? Limes, lemons,
Oranges.
all of your citrus, your oranges, your limes, your lemons, your grapefruit, all of those are going to have citric acid. Yes, that is another place that we commonly find it. That's why this reaction is commonly called the citric acid cycle. We are creating citric acid and we are going to use it to break up this, to get energy out of it. So overall, we are going to do a couple different processes. We are going to strip the energy from the citric acid, and we are going to create more NADH, more of a molecule called FADH2, which another big word or a big acronym. Essentially, it works the same as NADH. It's just another electron carrier. It's also going to create carbon dioxide. Ooh, there's something important. And it's going to create a teeny tiny amount of ATP. So overall, we are going to net probably 1 or 2 ATP, not a lot from this one. So that should be net 1 or 2, 1 to 2. I don't know why it just said 1, but let me fix that real quick.
Okay. Cross.
Yes. There we go. Approximately 1 to 2 of our ATP. So again, not a lot is coming out of this. So we said that, oh, this is going to be the main process that actually makes all of our ATP, but we're only getting a tiny bit of it. So from the glycolysis, we only got a couple. From the citric acid cycle, we're only getting a couple. However, we are going to completely break up and use up the carbon from this. We are going to completely burn that. I mean, we are going to recycle it to another 4-carbon molecule that combines to redo the cycle. Again, we said a cycle does a big loop. But in this case, we are going to completely strip as much energy from this as we can. And there's only so much that we can get. So this is the best we can do with this. But from this, our glucose is gone. So at this point, there is no more glucose. And the next step is where the big energy is going to come from. Give you a couple more seconds if you need to finish up writing this. Anyone need more time? Okay. So, just like the last one, take some time, fill out the chart for the Krebs cycle. What goes in, what comes out, and how much ATP are we netting? Gideon, pick a color. Pick a color. Purple. Purple. So, where is the location of the Krebs cycle? Where is the location of the Krebs cycle?
Oh, the mitochondrial matrix.
In the matrix. Yes. Yes, we are in the matrix now. Not the movie The Matrix. What?
What about the truck matrix?
I don't know about the truck one. Sorry. All right. Lily, pick a color. Green. What is the input for the Krebs cycle? Thank you, Lily.
Yeah, no problem. I got you. Acetyl. I just don't like that word, you know?
So we're not going to worry about this acetyl CoA. We're not going to worry about that. But pyruvate is going to be the main thing that comes into this case. I could mention the kind of uncharged molecules as well, but I'm not going to worry about it with this one. However, pyruvate is going to be the main thing that comes into the reaction. Ashlyn, pick a color. Orange. Okay. What is the output of the Krebs cycle?
Citric acid and tiny amount of ATP.
So we get ATP. We're not going to count the citric acid because it's going to keep cycling through the system. But ATP is one of them. What else? Peter, want to help her out?
NADH.
NADH. Anything else? Ash or Abigail? FADH2.
They made a sequel?
What about carbon dioxide?
Yes, they made a sequel.
That's also
The other one that we need to remember, it's put off as a byproduct. It's not something we want to get out of it, but it's something that's going to come out of it, is carbon dioxide.
I can spit my gum into that trash can from here.
Carbon dioxide is going to be very important because if you look back at your equation, what's one of our products of cellular respiration? What's one of the products of cellular respiration?
Is that a star?
Yes. Carbon dioxide. We're going to take oxygen and we're going to take glucose and we're going to make carbon dioxide, water, and energy. So carbon dioxide is going to be one of our final products. Brayden.
Yo,
This Brayden. Pick a color. Red. What is the net ATP for this one?
I said
1 to 2. Yeah, not a lot. 1 or 2 is usually about average. I think in total, this whole thing will make about 36. So take a couple minutes if you need to finish jotting this down. All right. So, just to recap, our phase 1 glycolysis overall created some pyruvate, a couple ATP, and a couple NADH.
Can you go
So-
back to the Krebs cycle?
You have
oh my gosh, hey.
What are you
I
missing?
think it's possible to do that stuff.
What are you missing?
Keep trying.
What are you listening? It's the last half. People are like,
You were just talking, you weren't doing it.
Yeah. Make sure we're paying attention.
That's
So,
right.
oh, now that's it.
so our glycolysis created some pyruvate, a little bit of NADH, and a bit of ATP. Not a lot, but about 2 molecules of ATP. Our Krebs cycle was going to turn that pyruvate into acetyl-CoA, break it down into citric acid, and combine it to kind of drain all of the energy out of it. So in total, we got a couple molecules of CO2, which again we said was a byproduct. We get a little bit of ATP, 1 to 2 molecules, 3 NADH, and 1 FADH2. So in total, we have made about 3 ATP, 3 to 4 ATP, a bit of NADH, and 1 FADH2.
This is all in one mitochondria?
This is so far, yes.
Okay.
Yes. So in one mitochondria, this is all we made. So that's not really a lot. Do you think?
No.
It's not a lot.
It's a disappointment.
So why continue this? Well, that's
We need more ATP.
we need a lot more ATP if we're going to run a system like this.
The next one probably makes like a million.
So this is where probably the coolest one, the electron transport chain comes into play. So electron transport chain, or the ETC, it's going to be located in the membrane of the mitochondria. So it's going to be located in kind of the walls of the mitochondria. And what we're going to do is we're going to take all of the NADH and all of the FADH2, all of the electron carriers that we have stored up this far. We've gotten a bit of both. We're going to take those. It's going to be like they're dropping off their kids at daycare. They're going to dump all of their electrons into this monstrosity. So they are going to take their electrons, they're going to pass it through a whole bunch of different protein pumps and things. And the goal for this is to take hydrogen and shuttle it to one side of the membrane. So as they do this, they're going to pass through a whole bunch of pumps, and in the end, it doesn't even matter, the electrons are going to be spit out, combined with a little bit of hydrogen and some oxygen, and make a molecule that we all know and love.
ATP.
Water.
Oh.
Yes. I hope you love water, at least a little bit.
I like ATP better now.
Well, but yeah, we are going to spit out the used electrons, combine them into water, and then excrete them. Excrete means to produce, so we are going to inevitably have to go to the bathroom. Yes. Yes. So, the hydrogen on the one side of the membrane. We said this for photosynthesis. Do molecules that have the same charge like each other?
No.
No. They don't like each other. They want to get as far away from each other as possible. It's like COVID all over again. So what they are going to do is they are going to, again, be given a door. That door is an ATP synthase. They are going to pass through the ATP synthase. They are going to spin a little thing, a little revolving door, a little turnstile, and they are going to generate ATP. Overall, the net ATP for the ETC is about 30 to 32 ATP. So almost, what would that be? About 16 times what we've been making so far. A whole lot more.
So cool.
This is how we are going to get the vast majority of our energy, is through the ETC.
Nice.
Yes. So like I said, the electrons get dropped off. They run through a whole bunch of tubes and proteins and things, like kids playing at a playground. They're going to lose all of their energy, and they are going to shuttle hydrogen back over, where they get turned, where the hydrogen comes back through and turns the ATP synthase to make ATP. I'll give you a couple of minutes to finish writing this, and then I have another question for you. This one might be a little critical thinking, so you might have to think. You might have to take a minute to think about this one.
No, you're not.
The paper staple came undone.
Whatever that means.
This is a staple stapler.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay. Man, I'm gonna have to do a whole bunch of editing for this one because there's a lot of jump cuts.
Lucky you.
Yep. It's what I get for being a YouTuber.
Yeah.
All right, anybody need more time? I see a couple people still writing, so I'll give you another minute or two.
I need to sleep already. Alrighty. So, talk with your partner. So this process of moving electrons to get hydrogen on one side of one side of the membrane to get it to pass through an ATP synthase. Talk with your partner. Where have we seen this before? Anybody want to take a stab at this? Where have we seen this before? Photosynthesis. Where? We had two parts. What was it? Calvin cycle.
Not the Calvin cycle.
Get out of here.
If I pull up these two pictures,
That looks very similar.
they look very similar. In the cellular respiration, we are going to take our electrons and we're going to funnel them through a series of proteins to produce a gradient. We're going to produce a lot of hydrogen on this side. We're going to learn more about gradients next unit. We're going to make a lot of hydrogen on this side and pump it through a system to get ATP. Photosynthesis. We have our electrons. We're going to energize them. So instead of having high energy electrons being dumped there, we're going to energize them ourselves, pump them through a few systems to get hydrogen on one side.
give the hydrogen a door, and pump it out to make ATP. Different mechanisms, same idea. We are making ATP through the work of moving hydrogen protons. So it's kind of the same. Like I said, a couple different mechanisms, but generally speaking, the idea between both of these, even though they come from completely different sources, the idea is pretty much the same. So, take this time, if you have not already, discuss with your partner where it's found, the input, the output, and the net ATP. Peyton, pick a color. I thought so. I have to actually hunt for it. Let's do... How's that? Where is the location of the ETC? I can only do so much. All right, relax. So, it happens in the mitochondrial membrane, the kind of outer wall of the mitochondria. Brayden, what is the input of the ETC?
NADH and NADH2. Count the electrons that they drop.
So we're going to take NADH, FADH2, we're going to drop off the electrons at the ETC. Like I said, if you drop your children off for daycare, same idea.
They don't pick them back up, do they? Responsible parents.
Yeah. Let's go with Emily. What is the output? ATP. Is there any other ones? What? So hydrogen, nah, kind of. But there's another big one.
Water.
What was that, Peyton?
Water.
Water. We are going to make water as a byproduct from this. We are going to take these spent electrons and we're going to combine them with oxygen and hydrogen to form water. Kate, what is the net ATP for this one? 30 to 32. Like I said, almost 15 to 16 times, well, not quite, many times how much more we got. So the first one we got about 2, second one we got about 2, this one we get 30 to 32. So a significantly more, or significantly higher yield from this one than from the other 2. Any questions about the ETC? Any questions about cellular respiration? Anyone need more time jotting this down? So, on a scale of 0, meaning I know nothing, to 5, how do you feel about this one? Is this one easier or harder to understand than photosynthesis? So, decent. Okay, I can work with that. So, again, just kind of going through. Glycolysis is going to happen outside of the matrix, outside of the mitochondria. It's going to convert our glucose, our sugar that we initially start out with, into something called pyruvate. It's going to produce a little bit of ATP, and it's going to create a little bit of electrons via NADH that are going to be shipped in later. The pyruvate is then going to be oxidated and combined with COCOA to form the citric acid cycle, or the Krebs cycle. Again, it's going to produce a little more ATP, and it's going to create a lot more NADH and FADH2. Those electrons then are all going to go over here to the electron transport chain, where they are going to net a whole lot of ATP. Oop, that's the one. There you go. So, looking at our reaction, we now can see where the different parts go in. So, for example, for cellular respiration, glucose is going to go into glycolysis. Oxygen is going to wait the whole way till the end and go in during the ETC to bond with the electrons. Water is going to be produced from that oxygen, and carbon dioxide is going to be produced during the Krebs cycle. So you can see where the different parts are going in, which are coming out, and overall we are going to make a lot of energy from this. So, next partner discussion I want you to take a couple minutes doing. What are the different gases that are going to be moving throughout this system, and how do they move between the ecosystem? How do they move between plants and animals and all that kind of stuff? Discuss with your partners. We're going to talk about it. I liked Emily and Lily. What did you two talk about?
We talked about how the plants need carbon dioxide and we would need oxygen. So we would take in the oxygen and produce carbon dioxide. And then the plants would take in the carbon dioxide and produce oxygen for us. So it kind of like cycles back and forth.
Good. So yeah, did everyone catch that? So, how this works, someone pick an animal.
Juice.
Giraffe.
I heard goose. I heard goose first. Sorry.
Can we change it to a duck?
I make no promises.
Yellow duck.
My drawing is.
Oh, my drawing skills are amazing. You should let me draw with you.
What do you do? I show a picture of
Sure. Good enough. So we have our animal, and we have our plant.
That's a pretty good goose. It needs a smile. Can you give it a
Relax.
Oh.
Relax. Okay.
Give the goose a smile. There you go.
So we have our plant and we have our animal. So, as what they said, animals like us, like this wonderful goose, are going to produce carbon dioxide. They're going to produce it as a byproduct of cellular respiration. This is going to go to the plants. The plants take this carbon dioxide, and they are going to absorb it into their bodies. They're going to use this for photosynthesis, and as a result, they are going to produce oxygen as a byproduct. So again, lots of byproducts, lots of unintended consequences. This oxygen, turns out we need it to breathe. So the oxygen is going to come back over to us, where it's going to allow us to breathe. So this is a big cycle. You probably learned about this in like earth science, about the oxygen and all of the carbon cycles and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, so why is this important? Anyone want to take a guess as to what this is? This is a rainforest.
Where's it at?
I don't know off the top of my head. It was just I just looked up rainforest on Google. But the rainforests are going to be huge land masses, or huge areas of land that are going to be very important for this whole process. They're going to absorb a lot of carbon dioxide and turn it into oxygen for us to breathe. So, most recently, we've had a lot of, especially in the Amazon rainforest, a lot of deforestation due to logging and due to farmland. So it becomes the issue that which is more important? Making lots of food to sustain a population that is constantly growing. I think we're at like 6 billion humans or something crazy like that.
8.
Are we at 8 billion?
We're in it now.
I was thinking it was 6. But yeah, is it more important to create enough food to sustain a population of 8 billion people, or is it more important to sustain the ecosystems that allow us to breathe? So there's a lot of, well, some people would argue that food's more important, especially if you replant the trees. You need both. So finding that balance is something that we are trying to do a lot of more recently. Any questions about this? Because a lot of you, especially if you want to go into the environmental science field, a lot of you may be working with this kind of stuff, like forest conservation, sustainability, that kind of stuff is all going to be very important. Do I not have the slide for it? Nope, that's not what I...
Oh my god.
Hold on. Let me see if I have the video. Because there's one more... Yeah, there should be one more slide on here. Okay. The last thing we're going to talk about, even though it's not up here, I'm going to do it on this slide. Probably. All right, guys, relax. So the last thing I'm going to talk about is the difference between an aerobic and an anaerobic reaction. So cellular respiration is a combination of aerobic and anaerobic reaction. Aerobic yes, there is a spot for it. An anaerobic reaction. What word do you see in aerobic that might aero? Okay. So what does aero mean? Do you think?
Aerodynamics. So
Aerodynamics. What is aerodynamics?
being able to move through the air easily.
Moving through the air. So aerobic reactions, aerobic respiration in this case, is going to be a reaction done in the presence of air. Can't spell.
I don't know.
Because that's too cringe. Is it Miller?
Yes, air. So that means anaerobic. If we're saying an anaerobic respiration. An is the prefix for not. So anaerobic means that we are doing it without air. So in particular, when we were looking at cellular respiration, glycolysis is an anaerobic reaction. If you were to continue on with this with bacteria, anaerobic respiration leads to fermentation. Fermentation leads to things like beer, cheese, all of those kinds of things. Without air. Yeah, kombucha. Is going to happen without air. It's done in the lack of air. If we want to get the rest of it out of there, we need air to do it, which is why we do aerobic respiration. We do it with oxygen. Any questions about that? That was the last thing I wanted to cover. We will be reviewing it again tomorrow so that on Thursday we can have our unit exam.
What?
Yes.
Nothing.
And that'll be a nice way to end off the week, end off the unit.
Nice one.
After that,